We really wanted a vaginal birth. So we hired a doula, we changed doctors because my first doctor said that doulas were not allowed. And if you want to walk around in the delivery room, this is not your place. So at least he was honest and we changed. And we had a pretty good experience. So we had a vaginal birth in the hospital, non-medication but mildly intervened. But it was nice, it was like a long labor at home. I had like a very regular pattern. I didn't know if things were going to progress or stop. And at some point it got like really intense. But I was okay. It wasn't painful, it was like intense, very intense. And I had the intensity was more towards the back. So at that point I said, okay, let's move. And I started to leak. So I was like, okay, let's go to the hospital. I feel a head in my butt. So my husband was driving like he was Fernando Alonso. Very dramatic. They decided to like additional 4 hours for him to come out. But it was my first, so I didn't know. And then I arrived there, I was 5 cm. I was pretty proud. First time mom, 5 cm. I'm managing without medication. But the doctor on call said like, he threatened me, like if in 2 hours you're not 2 cm more, then I will put Pitocin on you. I was like, why are you scaring me? I go away. And then my doula called my doctor and then he came and nothing else happened. But you get the message, like if you don't progress, this will happen. And then the anesthesiology came and I answered all the questions because I didn't know if I were going to need the epidural. So I answered every question through the contractions. And then he said, I see you're in a lot of pain. I was like, I'm not in pain, I'm just being noisy. So he went away, he never come back. And then 2 hours later I was 8 cm, 1 hour later I was fully dilated. I had to push for a very, very long time. I pushed like in all fours, squatting, like on my way, very hippie, pushing for 1 hour. And then the doctor came in and said, like, have you tried laying back? And I was like, no, I haven't. And he was like, maybe you can. And then I lay back and I felt things moving down, so I ended up giving birth in that position that I swear like I wasn't going to. But it worked and he came out. I was like really ready for it to be over. So I pushed like you should and like everything was blocked here. I tore badly, but he was out. So we got our vaginal birth and that was what matters. And then even in US, we were thinking about home birth and this and that. And in US, I think they are much more than in here because you have the whole midwifery setting and it's getting more and more common. But it was my firstborn, so I was a bit scared. So I said, like, okay, maybe for the second. So when we moved here, we weren't even pregnant. And then I reached out for Dr. Lay for my annual checkup because I know he was the only one doing the home birth. So I started with him from the beginning, and then I got pregnant, and we continued with him, of course. And he's really, really nice, always open to every option. Like, I'm not into scans, and he loves scans. And he was okay with not doing scans. Like, you can talk to him, and he will be open to everything that you want to do.
You are all in Dr. Line? Or you're a different...
Actually, I don't know. Yeah.
Backgrounds?
Yeah. He's really nice. I would recommend him. So we were thinking the whole pregnancy, doing a home birth or not, what should we do? But we don't have the midwife here, so my husband will be the one monitoring. I didn't feel like too comfortable with that. And I have always worked in hospital, I do research, so I always work in hospital and I feel pretty safe in the hospital. So at the end I said like, okay, I think we should go to the hospital. I have like the noisy running around boy was my one. So I didn't want that to happen during labor. So at the end we went for the hospital. And we did the classes, not the whole course, but we did hypnobirthing and we did spinning babies. And the baby was perfectly positioned from the very beginning. That was really surprising because the first one was breech until 37.5. So we had to turn him with some help. And it was a very uncomfortable pregnancy with the head in the liver. And this one perfectly positioned from the week 30. And we did the exercises. We did hypnobirthing and I heard all the tracks. And I'm not big in silence birthing. I think you should grunt and be vocal. But I think it really helped. Maybe it helped too much. Because then at 38 weeks I was 3 cm, but I was waiting for my mom coming on the due date. So I was like, hey, birth is not going to happen. Then 1 week later, I was 3 cm, much more ripping, and Dr. Lee said, like, it will happen today or tomorrow. I said, no, maybe next week. No, today or tomorrow. And then I went to an Indian place for lunch with my husband. From all places, I chose India.
Just here in the, what's the name?
Tangling.
Yeah.
Then I get with my friends for some coffee, and we run around Tangling Mall up and down, doing some errands. And then we finally sit down for our coffee. And I say, I feel too many breaths in his contraction. Maybe I should track. And I start tracking. It was for every 5 minutes, but really short, not pain at all. And then one of my friends said, you should go to the hospital. He was like getting more and more wild. And I, no, they're not painful, it's not labor. And then my other friend was like, of course not labor, look at you, you're like nothing. And then they start to come every 3 minutes. I didn't tell my friends. I was like, maybe I should go home. With my very scary friend, I took a cab home. And then he happened to call me. I was like,
yeah,
maybe you should come home.
Yeah, I just happened to call her. It was 5:30 p.m. Say, how are you? Say, I'm having a little more contractions. Yeah, maybe you can come. Say, okay, I'll go.
Maybe.
But there were no pain. They were like really coming every 5 minutes, but no pain at all. Like really normal Braxton Hip contraction, and they were even very short. So I was like, no pain, like nothing. So I was like, this is not labor. Then my child came back from the playground, major tantrum because he knows something was going on. So the whole week he was having major tantrums. So the whole pattern stopped for good. I was like, okay, maybe tomorrow, or maybe next week. And then he settled, went to bed, and everything started over. I had dinner. At 8, things got like a little bit more intense, but I was expecting the intensity to be in the back as the first one.
One clue, in case is first timers, every contraction, she went to number 2 at the toilet. Every contraction. So from 7 to 8, she went 10 times to the to the bathroom.
Okay, maybe this is real. But
I mean, the clues are there.
Yeah, maybe I ignore them.
Women go into denial when they're in labor, especially when they don't want to be in labor, okay? Because they've made this plan, this person's coming, oh no, I've got dinner, or I've got a party to organize, and all that kind of stuff, okay?
But then at 8, the intensity started, and it wasn't my bladder, and I expected it to be in the back, so I was like, maybe this is not it. But then it started to come like every 2 or 3 minutes, and really like everyone was much more intense than the previous one. So I was like, okay, let's go. Let's call Katie because she was my doula. And then Katie was on her way, and I was like, okay, call Katie. We are going to the hospital. And then we got into the taxi. So things started to get intense at 8. At 8:45, we finally got into the taxi. We arrived to the hospital at 8:55, and in the taxi, the first 2 contractions, I was like, and the last 2, I was like, I had to hold myself, like, and then because of the experience with the car in the first one, I was like, okay, I'm not going to say anything, but this baby's coming. So I was holding myself, I was like, let go, don't hold yourself.
I had 2 missions in the taxi: calm my wife and calm the taxi driver. So this is the first time you're taking a woman in labor? Yes, okay. All this is normal. So, all these noises, all these screens, you just drive, just be relaxed in this tone. But the guy was like, the guy couldn't even look behind, and we ordered a big taxi, and so Avencia wasn't just like a dog, and just holding my hands, and say, it's here. Okay, but the first child, Ignacio, when she was telling me I was driving, it's here, and I was like a Formula 1 driver, and then it took 3-4 more hours to really have the delivery. But in this case, I mean, it was proven that it was true, because actually I checked the timeline, so, because we ordered with the app. The taxi was at 10:48. We ordered the taxi.
8:48.
8:48, and we live in Novena. and so we were to the Gleneagles, and the baby was born at 9:11. So
good timing.
yeah, we arrived at the hospital around 9, and then Dr. Lai was not there. He's a very good doctor, but wasn't
too fast.
but he was not
Fast,
assisted.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
the baby was already there. So Katie made on time.
Yes.
No,
But I have to
the
say-
nurses were almost, some of them, they didn't know what to do because
Yeah, I said that I had an unassisted hospital birth, so we happened
Yeah.
to be in the hospital, but we could be in the taxi or.
I was the one, me and Katie taking the baby, put it in the chest.
What happens is when things don't go the way protocol does, the nurses panic.
They freak
so
out.
they
They freak
lose
out.
it for a while
Freak
and
out.
they freak out. And then that's where it's like, even though you don't do anything clinical, we go, okay, be calm, don't worry, you're right, baby. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I remember I arrived there, like, we get to the hospital, I look back and the elevator was like 2 kilometers away. I was like, I'm not getting there. So I just started looking around in the taxi how to position myself.
So
And
just
then
have
they
it there.
bring a wheelchair and I was like, okay, the wheelchair maybe I can do. So somehow we get into the room. And then the nurse was like, okay, next contraction, you're going to lie on your back and I'm going to check you. And everything was bulgy already, like really swollen and things were coming out. And then I tried to put him to lay on my back and I said, like, this is not happening. Back to my side. And then there was like some conversation between my husband and the nurse. Was like, why do you need to check? Like, look. And then next, in between contractions, the next one, the head was already crowning. So the girl like turned around and I was like, okay, I'm not checking her. So I never got checked.
She wanted to check, and the head was already out. What do you want to check? No, we need to check.
But what?
Yeah.
and
And they didn't know my name. It was like really weird.
they
with the
asked me
nurses.
3 or 4 times the blood type. I said, I don't know. It's important. It should be on the paperwork. You go and look at it, and then 30 seconds. But what is the blood type? I said, I don't know, and I don't care. Go and check on the paper. Just leave us alone. It was very fun. So then the baby was getting out with the bag, which is very impressive because it's like a film that you put on the sandwiches or something. So it's like a condom, so to speak. Yes. So the guy looks like a robber, like a terrorist. I mean, because you are educated, so you read and say, okay, this guy is breathing. But if not, this guy's dying. This guy cannot breathe. He's totally, yeah. But it was very, very beautiful. But something, if I can share my 2 experiences, very different experiences. In the first one, which is Ignacio, is there, it's a little longer. Probably it's because it's the first longer, I don't know. But something that I will recommend to all the parents, all the fathers, it's to go to the delivery, to the birth, and enjoy it and really be there. So I kind of regret, so to speak, that in the second one was so fast that I didn't enjoy it, so to speak. And by enjoy it, I mean, I
Yeah,
don't
we
know.
didn't have the transition to
You don't have the transitions. You don't feel
being
the.
pregnant to
So basically,
being a
they
mother
felt the
again.
birth was so fast they were in shock. So when you are aiming for fast birth, be
Yeah.
careful of what you wish for.
Yeah, especially being the second one. But my point is, I always recommend this to my friends or whatever. When you go to a delivery to the birth, you see all the things that you read or you hear about the hormones, the cocktail of the hormones like the oxytocin. I had all of them. I had all of that. I even cry with all the contractions, and I mean I'm pretty sure the relation with one child, that if you see and you suffer and then you enjoy all these emotions with a child, is way different than if you have that if you only see your child just born already dressed up. It's very different. And so it's worth the experience. And for those that are a little I don't know if it's the case, I'm talking general here, a little kind of scared to the how gross all the thing can be, you get used to it. I still remember the conversation that we had on the first one. I said, hey, do you want, Avencia asked me, do you want to cut the umbilical cord? Say, well, yes, why not? Well, I'll try, let's see how it goes. So then, after the whole delivery, they see all the blood coming in. The doctor said, you want to cut it? I said, okay, I can bite it. so you get used to it and you really, really enjoy it. Really enjoy it.
It was very interesting to have a couple like them in class, right, who already knew what they wanted, and they were in a class where they were mainly first-time parents. And when they attended classes, the guys, one of the first class was about sharing your concerns and everything, and guys were saying something like, what was he saying? That
yeah, there was a guy, in case, no? The guy was saying, my concern or my fear. My fear towards the whole thing, it's I will never see the vagina the same thing again. and then I couldn't keep quiet myself and say, okay, I hear you, but let me tell you, once you have your child, you do not see your life, yourself, your wife, the world the same. So vagina is a very particular detail that who cares? Forget about it. And I mean, no, it's a very enrichful experience. So.
Okay, questions that you like to ask.
One thing, if I may ask, the fact that you are here, and I've been in those seats 2-3 months ago, I think it says a lot of how you want to plan the whole experience and everything. If I can share my experience, because we also have few bad things, no? So Ignacio, the first child, was inverted, and then they were able in the week 31, 32, 37 to flip it around. But in that moment, all the plans, because the same, right? So we went to all the classes, doula service, and all your plans, they say, oh, hold on, but something can be wrong. So in our case, nothing went wrong, but it's a good approach to just expect that something cannot be in all the way as you plan. And then also, if you feel something is not the way it should be, just do something about it. So we have a friend here that they just have a baby few weeks before Adolfo, and then she was telling us the things that the doctor was saying. I say, come on, how can you just keep that doctor? So the doctor was saying, okay, if you're not delivering your due date, I will induce you next day.
Even if your baby gets bigger than 3 kilos, then I will induce you.
I will induce you. So if you hear those things, and then you are aiming for a natural birth, forget about it. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, another thing I want to say, because we used Katie 10 minutes before the birth happened, right? So some people ask me, like, was it worth it to spend the money on a doula? I was like, yeah. First, you spend a lot of time postnatally, but then I arrived there really scared. Like the first birth was really birthing without fear. This one I was really, really scared that I was going to be that lady that delivered in the taxi in the parking of the hospital. So it took me a while to settle, to say like, okay, now I'm in the room, I'm safe, I can birth here. So then Katie arrived and she made me breathe again because I was like, and then it was really, really hot. And I told my husband I would hurt my face. My husband told the nurses, of course the nurses bring hot water. And Katie came and said, I need cold water in my face. And then she bring like this towel with the peppermint oil. It was like the best thing in the world. So it's really worth to have a doula there that will settle you and be on your team. And you really need a lot of hands, because I had my husband there, but he was doing other things. And even with my first one, I had my husband, my doula, and my mother, and all of them were busy with the things I was doing. You need to fund me. You need to give me ice chips.
It's called the laboring queen.
So it's nice to have a second set of expert hands to help you.
Thank you very much. Any other questions anyone would like to ask? Okay. Thank you very much for coming. If you have any other questions, feel free to look for us. Our email address is iwantagoodbirth@4trimesters.com. You can drop us an email. Our vendors are at the back. They're all mothers themselves. Feel free to ask them about birth experiences as well as the wonderful services that they provided. And I think we might still have some food left, so just help yourself. If you have any questions, feel free to just hang around for a bit and ask your questions. Otherwise, thank you very much for coming. And made it through your morning. Thank you.